The land stretched wide and empty, the wind sweeping across the plains as if carrying whispers from forgotten times. Dust clung to every surface, the earth cracked from days without rain, and the horizon shimmered under the harsh sun. Out here, life was survival, and survival belonged only to the strong or the lucky. Upon this lonely land, a cowboy rode, towering in presence, his frame broader than most, his stride heavy when his boots hit the ground. He was known simply as the Giant Cowboy, a man who carried both strength and solitude wherever he went. One late afternoon, as the sky bled with orange streaks, he followed the trail of wild mustangs that had passed near a canyon. The sounds of coyotes echoed in the distance, but something else made him stop. A cry, faint yet sharp, carried by the wind. He tightened his reins, tilting his head. It wasn't an animal. It was human. The Giant Cowboy guided his horse toward the sound, boots scraping against rock as he dismounted near a ravine. There, hidden in shadows, his eyes caught sight of something that made his blood burn. Two women, both native, were bound cruelly to a large stone. Their arms were tied with coarse rope, skin bruised from struggle, faces worn with exhaustion, but eyes still alive with fire. Whoever had done this left them under the sun's merciless gaze, abandoned for death, or worse. The cowboy stepped closer, his massive frame blocking the light. The women flinched, fear flashing in their eyes as if expecting another tormentor. But his deep voice came low and steady. "Don't be afraid. You're safe now." His words were simple, but his hands, steady and strong, reached for the knots. The ropes were cruelly tight, biting into their skin. He worked patiently, his thick fingers surprisingly gentle as he untied the bindings. The women breathed sharply when their arms came free, rubbing at their sore wrists. One was younger, her dark hair tangled with dust, while the other bore the weight of years and wisdom in her gaze. They whispered to each other in their tongue, their voices trembling between caution and relief. The cowboy offered his canteen, and they drank desperately. For a moment silence hung, broken only by the rustle of prairie grass. But danger was never far on the frontier. The Giant Cowboy had not missed the tracks around the stone. There were boot prints, heavy and cruel, circling like wolves. Whoever bound the women might return, and soon. He scanned the horizon, his instincts sharp from years of living where one mistake meant death. Without hesitation, he lifted both women, first one, then the other, onto his horse, his strength making the act seem effortless. He walked alongside, reins in hand, keeping his rifle ready. The women clung to each other as he led them away from that cursed place. The cabin he called home stood miles away, hidden near a grove where water pooled from a natural spring. When they reached it by nightfall, the Giant Cowboy set them inside, lighting a lantern that glowed warmly against the log walls. He cooked beans and bread over the fire, offering food they ate with quiet gratitude. The elder woman finally spoke in broken English, her voice steady despite the hardship. "You save us. But men who bind us, they come for blood." The cowboy met her gaze, his jaw firm. "Then let them come," he said. "I've faced worse." Morning came with an uneasy stillness. The women rested on simple cots, while the cowboy stepped outside, scanning the horizon. His rifle rested against his shoulder, his hat casting a shadow over determined eyes. Hoofbeats shattered the silence. A group of armed men rode in. 6 in number, their faces twisted with arrogance. They were the ones who had bound the women, raiders who preyed on the weak, believing no one would stop them. One sneered, calling out, "You've got what belongs to us, stranger. Hand 'em back." The cowboy stood tall, unmoving, his voice like iron. "They belong to no man." The standoff tightened, tension thick in the air. The raiders laughed, but their laughter faltered as the cowboy stepped forward, towering over them, rifle ready. They fired the first shot. The crack split the air, birds scattering from trees. The cowboy dropped to one knee, firing back with deadly precision. Dust rose as the ground shook with hooves. His bullets found their mark, sending 2 men falling from their saddles. The others tried circling, but he was unyielding, his size making him an unshakable wall of defiance. By the time the smoke cleared, the raiders lay defeated, scattered, like broken shadows. Inside, the women watched with wide eyes, torn between fear and awe. When silence returned, the cowboy entered, lowering his rifle. He said nothing of the fight. He never glorified what violence forced upon him. Instead, he checked on them, ensuring they were safe. The younger woman, tears streaking through the dust on her face, reached for his hand. She whispered in her tongue, words the elder translated softly. "She says you are her protector." The cowboy's expression softened, though his voice remained low. "Protector, maybe, but you must decide your own path from here." Days passed as the women healed, their strength slowly returning. The elder spoke often with the cowboy, sharing fragments of their story. They had been taken while traveling, caught by men who sought to trade them like property. Bound to the stone, they were meant to be broken by fear. Yet fate had carried the cowboy their way. He listened quietly, rarely, speaking his presence enough to comfort. At night, they sat near the fire, the women singing low songs in their language, their voices carrying sorrow and hope into the dark. The cowboy listened, his heart heavy, yet warmed. When the time came for them to leave, the cowboy prepared his horse once more, saddling it with care. The women stood ready, their bruises faded but their spirits unbroken. They offered him gifts, woven beads and feathers, tokens of gratitude and respect. The younger pressed a small bundle into his hand, a charm meant for protection. He accepted silently, his hat dipping in acknowledgement. As they departed, the elder looked back, her gaze lingering. "Your kindness," she said, "will not be forgotten." He only nodded, his tall frame silhouetted against the rising sun. Watching until they disappeared into the horizon, when the land grew quiet again, the cowboy returned to his solitude. The plains stretched endless, the wind carrying secrets only the earth understood. Yet something within him had shifted. He had not sought heroism nor reward. He had simply done what was right. In a world where cruelty too often reigned, his act of rescue lit a flame that neither time nor distance could extinguish. And though the giant cowboy rode on alone, somewhere beyond the horizon, the songs of the 2 women would always carry his name, etched into the living memory of the frontier.